Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. Today is Friday, August 12th, and we are continuing our series of preseason college football videos with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, taking a look at tendencies of various coaches in college football. These are, of course, excerpts from Steve's book, the Betting Black Book, that Steve has written for Amazon.com, which you can buy there. Steve's website, again, is collegefootballwinning.com. We're just going to discuss some of the notable coaches in college football and take note of some of their ATS tendencies. Is that right, Steve?
That is correct, Peter.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to start right now with Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. Now, when I think of Brian Kelly and Notre Dame in general, he's been with them since about 2010, and I don't have any particular associations with him and Notre Dame under him, except that I think of them as being very inconsistent. So right around games 5, 6, or 7, I look for them to reverse course in terms of ATS. So if they've covered, 5 out of their first 6 games, second half of the season, I'm looking for them to start to not covering, to lose ATS. I'm looking to fade them, and then vice versa. If they start the season with like 4 out of 5 ATS losses, I'm usually looking for them more so than most teams to reverse course and start to cover in the second half of the season. That's my only association with Brian Kelly and Notre Dame. What do you have to say about that, Steve?
Well, Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, and this is what the Betting Black Book offers sports bettors. It's a betting history of all 128 active FBS head football coaches. But very importantly, and Brian Kelly at Notre Dame is a great example of this, it covers those coaches at the institution where they are presently coaching. So if we were to look at Brian Kelly's against the spread tendencies before he was at Notre Dame, that would not carry along with it the sort of Notre Dame baggage that Notre Dame has when it comes to the betting line.
Yes, and Notre Dame, of course, as we know, is usually a very strong public back team, especially when they're playing well, and that's something that is somewhat unique to Notre Dame, as well as other top tier programs.
Yes, historically they've been just a terrible against the spread home team, but as you said, they have lots of people who are willing to bet on them almost no matter who they're playing and no matter what the spread. So Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, though, he overall 37, 38, and 3 against the spread. So real close to meeting expectations there. And I think that's how people need to start viewing these betting lines as, are these coaches meeting, exceeding, or underperforming when it comes to betting expectations? This is a good time to remind viewers that the break-even point in standard college football betting is 52.38%. So any statistic you hear from me that's higher than that, any percentage greater than 52.38% is profitable. Anything lower and you're losing money. So overall, compared with the 128 total college football coaches, he ranks 73rd against the spread overall. Not particularly good. At home, he's 16, 18, and 3 against the spread. Again, more or less meeting or just underperforming expectations at home. And Notre Dame typically does underperform against the betting line at home. Away, he's 19 and 16 against the spread. He ranks 52nd in that category. And for away games, that's been classified as all games played away from their home stadium, except for bowl games and college football playoff games. Separate category. Now, narrow point spreads, and this is a category that I thought was important. I didn't differentiate between favorites and underdogs when it comes to narrow point spreads. I consider a narrow point spread something less than a field goal. So 2.5 points or less. Why didn't I differentiate underdogs from favorites in this category? Because over the past 10 years in college football betting, Peter, the favorites and the underdogs have changed places from opening to closing 25.37% of the time. So I thought it would be misleading to call a team that had been bet as an underdog all week long, only to become the favorite at the last moment before kickoff. To call them a favorite, I thought that was misleading. So for all narrow point spread games, under a field goal, Brian Kelly is 4-1 against the spread. So he is exceeding expectations in those narrow point spread games. As a favorite, Notre Dame under Brian Kelly is 21, 28, and 3 against the spread. Definitely underperforming. 42.86%. As an underdog, so that's an underdog of at least 3 points now, 12-9 against the spread. That's 57.14%. But his sweet spot as an underdog is being an underdog of at least a touchdown, where he's 5-2 against the spread. In conference, and Notre Dame pretty famously is independent, but they're affiliated with the ACC. So in this category for Notre Dame and Brian Kelly, I considered all ACC opponents to be their in-conference games. So he is 10-10, so perfectly meeting expectations when it comes to ACC in-conference opponents. Out of conference, so everybody else, 27-28-3, pretty much hitting expectations there. Total preparation. I like this category. So when a coach has at least 10 days between games, so that's the first game of the season, after bye weeks, before bowl games, college football playoff games, literally any game played where a coach and his team have had at least 10 days of preparation before kickoff, he is 10-10. So again, meeting expectations, 50% right there. Specifically, first game of the season, I know since the season's coming up here, people want to know how he does. He meets expectations. He's an even 3-3, 50%, meeting expectations. Now, the preseason AP poll. And the reason I like to discuss this in videos like this is because that is often a pretty good gauge of public hype going into a season. So the preseason AP poll has yet to be released. I think it'll be released August 21st, so later this month. It is possible that Notre Dame could be a top 5 team. I doubt it. I think it's more likely they'll be top 10. But it's possible they'll be a top 5 team. I think we can count on them being a top 10 team. The past 3 seasons, all preseason AP top 10s have averaged against the spread 46.97%. So they underperform. So there it is, that hype going into the season. For Notre Dame under Brian Kelly, when they're ranked in the preseason AP top 25, so just getting the top 25, which for sure Notre Dame will be in, he averages 47.06% against the spread on the season. When Notre Dame is not in the preseason top 25 under Brian Kelly, they're 54.17% against the spread. So you go from unprofitable to profitable. So there you go with the hype. And it looks like Notre Dame could have some of that preseason hype here and should. The past 25 seasons, and I only did this for Notre Dame, and for this video, past 25 seasons, when Notre Dame was in the preseason top 25, they averaged against the spread, so this is Brian Kelly and others, 45.1% against the spread when they're in the preseason top 25. When they're not, Notre Dame's against the spread average last 25 seasons, 56.7% against the spread. So there you have it, preseason hype versus no preseason hype. So in sum, Brian Kelly, where he exceeds expectations, narrow point spreads. As an underdog of more than at least a touchdown, he's 5-2 against the spread. Now, where he underperforms, favorites of more than 7 points, or 7 points or more. So at least a touchdown. He's 15-23-1. That's 39.47%. And it gets even worse when you start combining some of those underperforming categories, like Notre Dame at home and at least a 7-point favorite under Brian Kelly, 7-14-1. So winning at just 33.33%.
All right, great stuff, Steve. Of course, all that comes from the Betting Black Book, a book that Steve has written. I wrote the foreword to that. And Steve's website, again, is collegefootballwinning.com. Steve, tell anyone who wants to go there what they'll find when they go to collegefootballwinning.com.
At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football betting analysis all year round, even in the off season. We're a company founded on making betting recommendations algorithmically, and we call those algorithmic betting recommendations our formula. That formula has beaten the spread at a rate of 59.89% lifetime of the company. That's almost 500 formula betting recommendations. Go to collegefootballwinning.com, put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering. And we still offer a 100% money back guarantee on your entire season with us.
Okay, it sounds great. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Peter.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.